We pay $300 for EpiPens to save our lives. It's too—
Yes, and EpiPens are a fantastic example of a public health policy failure in the US and Canada. By the way, I'm going to be cribbing a lot from this video with Dr. Aaron Carroll. Go watch it on YouTube, it's amazing. EpiPens currently cost about $650 on average in the US, with generic versions costing not that much less. Canada's not much better. We're still seeing EpiPens at about $150 for a single one, even though we do negotiate prices down. And if you think this is due to research and development costs needing to be recouped, no. The EpiPen was developed in the 70s, and as of 2015 was making $1.5 billion in sales every year. They've recouped their costs. And it only cost them about $35 to make the things. Why is it so high? Well, in 2007, the company Mylan bought the company that makes EpiPens and started increasing the price. There had been some price inflation before Mylan bought the company, but let's just look at the chart. 2007, EpiPens cost about $70 to $100 per. As of 2016, they cost over $600 for a twin pack. And every time demand for their product spikes due to regulations, Mylan raises the price. Like when the FDA required that EpiPens be sold in 2-packs over concerns that kids weren't getting enough from one dose, Mylan raised the price. In 2013, the federal government signed a law giving preferential funding to states that maintained an emergency supply of EpiPens, meaning there were a lot of states that needed to buy a whole lot of fucking EpiPens. Mylan raised the price again. You're probably wondering why there aren't generic versions of the EpiPen and why they're not pushing prices down. The FDA did finally put out a generic version of the EpiPen in 2019, and fortunately it is— oh, I was sitting in front of the knot. There are some alternatives products to the EpiPen that you could use, notably Adrenaclick, but these are not generic versions of the EpiPen. If your doctor writes you a prescription for an EpiPen, it has to be filled by an EpiPen or a generic alternative. These are their own products, so your pharmacist can't substitute them. And sometimes doctors just don't know what the Adrenaclick is. But even if it worked, neither of those have had an effect on prices, because for the last 10 years, the cost of both generic EpiPens and their alternatives have risen more or less in lockstep, because oligopolies are a bitch. The government encourages the use of EpiPens in schools and for parents to have them around. It incentivizes states to have a supply of them by tying it to healthcare funding. Artificially inflating demand like that and then refusing to negotiate the prices down is— I don't have another word for it. It's stupid. That is asinine from a financial perspective, irresponsible from a political perspective, and fucking inhuman from a moral perspective. Unfortunately, this just isn't at all unusual in healthcare policy.